Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to comment on some of your earlier remarks, and I think you're absolutely right about our accountability to our constituents in terms of future casualties. I think it's important to recognize that before 2020, before we entered the agreement, we lost 17 soldiers in Afghanistan due to combat deaths. The Army alone lost 20 in training accidents. Much less the losses of the Navy with the collisions and other types of accidents. So I think we need to continue to take a hard look at what our measure of success here, if it is avoiding casualties or if it's protecting the homeland. I don't think anyone's suggesting that we stop training or stop operations because we're sustaining casualties along those lines. But I do think we also are going to be accountable to our constituents. And I think we're going to be accountable the next time we have an attack like Pulse nightclub or San Bernardino, the truck attacks in New York. And to Mr. Moulton's point, we're going to be accountable if we lose additional soldiers fighting our way back in, if the intelligence community is correct that al-Qaeda fully intends to resurge in the wake of a Taliban resurgence. Mr. Helvey, and for the committee, I want to be on the record here. We have, and I'm glad you agree, that we have a moral obligation, as you stated in your testimony, to take care of those who have stood with us in extremism. We need to get those people out, and I want you to hear that from me loud and clear. Mr. Crow told his story. All of us who have served there have them. One of my interpreters was executed along with members of his family simply for having documentation that he needed to get the SIV visa. So we need to evacuate them out. This processing, this 14-step process that the State Department has, I agree you need to set up a task force and address this bureaucratic issue. But all of that can be done if we get these folks, these interpreters, civil society leaders, politicians, school teachers that have stood with us, if we get them to Doha, Al Udeid, to other bases. Is there anything preventing you from evacuating these individuals, and then we can deal with the appropriate vetting, processing, Congress's authorization? What's preventing you from doing that?
I think that the focus that we have is on, supporting a peaceful outcome in Afghanistan. We are continuing to work with our Afghan partners, and our Afghan partners are continuing to work.
Mr. Helvey, I'm sorry, I appreciate that, but I can tell you these folks, these people who have stood with us are being hunted down as we speak. They are being executed. Their families' lives are on the line. And I believe that when that last soldier goes wheels up, we have essentially handed them a death sentence. So we have between now and when those last C-17 flights leave Bagram Air Base to get these folks out. General Milley has said he expects 1,000 C-17 flights, much of it with equipment. Where would you prioritize these people that stood with us versus some equipment? I would hope that you would prioritize these people more so. It's not just a moral issue. It's a national security issue for the message that we're sending. And if we do have to go back in, who's going to stand with us again?
We are working with our interagency partners to look at the different tools and the resources and the mechanisms to support those folks that have supported us.
Thank you, Mr. Helvey. No, thank you. I mean, I want to be clear. We need an evacuation plan, and time is of the essence. The other piece here, you mentioned in your testimony, and I think you agree, that Afghan National Security Forces are critical to the future, future of Afghan security, and therefore the homeland security. President Ghani said in 2019 he anticipates his security forces can hold 6 months without full U.S. support, including financial support. I have real questions of whether this committee and this Congress will continue to appropriate billions of dollars with a power sharing agreement with the Taliban, number one, and then number two, without appropriate oversight of those dollars. And since we will have no one left but those in the embassy, how do you plan, in the interest of time, please submit for the record how you plan to oversee those dollars? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.